Hello! It's me, Kyle, of Give Paws Hobby, and we have something special for you tonight, and it is what we have dubbed ROOTCEPTION. I'm just going to dive right in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking out the video. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you do so, get a special friends extra hello. But we're getting right into the meat and potatoes of tonight because there is something to be said about... What is that siren? One of the reasons why we all play Root, why some of us are wearing Root shirts right now, is because of how gosh darn adorable the meeples are for this game. And a wonderful channel with a wonderful individual, Sam of Lord of the Board, started an idea months and months and months ago. We had a conversation. We talked about our top 3 meeples, amongst some other things, including one faction to remove from the game. Spicy meatball, that one was. But he went above and beyond, and he went from last to first, all the meeples in the whole game, including all the different vagabonds that we have meeples for. That was great. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I had some issues with some of the rankings that he did, some of the justifications, good and bad. And then another great channel of another couple great people, Max and Doolin of Table Knots, put together a Why Lord of the Board is Wrong. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to name mine anything quite so neatly. I'm just going to call it ROOTCEPTION, which is the 3rd video in a series of, who knows, maybe other people will add to them, of how we think the meeples should be ranked. So, starting at the back of the pack, the Eerie Dynasty. It's just... I like how angry it is. I do not love the black on blue compared to some of the other color combinations. It just doesn't pop as much. I'm not going to go so far as to say blue is boring like Max did. I love the color blue. I got no problem with that. I just think it's... I mean, it works. It works just fine. It's like a blue jay or something, but it's just, I don't know, the least kind of exciting of all the shapes. It's very recognizable, not super lovable. So we're gonna boop put him right here. No, we'll put him over here. Second to last, I'm just gonna cut ahead. In the future Kyle is about to record not only my rankings but how these all stack up amongst the 4 of us. And so I'm just gonna give you a peek behind the curtains. I did not rock the boat. This was second to last in all 3 previous lists. It is second to last in mine too, and that is the Ronin. So this is the color shifted version of the Thief. Originally, this was for when you could add a second Vagabond that came out in the Riverfolk expansion before any of the unique Vagabond meeples came out. And I just really don't... I mean, later on we're going to talk about the Thief. It is literally the same thing, but white on black just does not pop as much as the black on like the light gray. So sorry, Ronin, you're helping take up the rear, I guess. You're the double part caboose. Now, I will say that they're not all super close, but for the majority of these, the rankings are very close. There's not huge gaps between these. Now, some of these, that may be the case, and I think my back 5 are kind of in their own caboose land. So next up in caboose land, this one is apparently spicier than I anticipated given the other 3 lists that came before, but that is the Harrier. I gotta say, a good points were made. That asymmetric, the fact that it's off-centered, is a nice look for it. I don't care for the light blue on this like brown color. I don't know. That's all I have to say about the Harrier. I don't know. It's the middle of the caboose pack. So there you go, bud. Boop. The second in command of the caboose crew, the Adventurer. It's okay. It's fine. I kind of like how just like it's just staring at the camera. Just staring at you, whoever looks at it. I do like that quality in this. It's just like unflinching. And I will say, Max is right, it absolutely is immediately recognizable as an owl. However, it's also immediately recognizable as I don't know what that sound is. But that's my official ranking of the adventurer. Okay, next up, Sam, don't hate me. The Vagrant. Pink on white. I guess it is kind of a neat... I like how it's in the ears, because like the pink ears sticking out. I'm just not a fan of possums. I'm not. And possum babies are really cute, but they're vicious, and the mothers are even more vicious. As a camper, I've come very close to making mistakes in that department, but I don't know. It's a goofball. It's obviously the top of the caboose crew, but not any higher than that. So moving up, let's see. The next, it's actually roughly. No, hold on. The next one is like a pretty close 6, like a pack of 6. That starts off with one that I was kind of surprised how much it got dogged by a couple of lists, and that is the Ranger. I think this is great. I mean, it's 6th from the end, so I don't think it's that great. But they're all so good that, something has to be pushed down. As my one of my grandmas, who was not that into sports, said infamously to my other grandma one time, who was very into sports, when the Badgers didn't make it to the Rose Bowl, they lost the game that would have got them there. She just turns and she said, well, somebody's got to lose, which is adorable and true, but not what you say to someone who's super invested. Someone's got to be 6 from the back. I do really like the eye, like the scar on the eye. I think that makes this meeple. I think it's really neat, just not neat enough. Now, this one was tricky. I gotta say, the moles, if this had been color shifted to be like brown and have this color be, I don't know, this thing here, or maybe just like the snout, we could get along. It makes me a little uncomfortable. Like the flesh color, I'm just like, I mean, moles are fleshy, I guess, but like, I like how the nose is sticking out. I like the eye. They're all adorable. The card art is ridiculous. Like a huge part of the fun of the moles, which are super fun, but a big part of it is just seeing the different ministers. And that's the face here. I mean, it's that adorable mole face, but I just can't, the color, it's not bad, but it just... Next up is, speaking of color, I like the shape of this one. I like the color combination, and that is the Seeker. The Seeker is just really adorable. My alma mater for my undergrad is the University of Minnesota, the Golden Gophers. This is not a gopher, but they do have big buck teeth because legend has it the original mascot was just sort of based off of a chipmunk, not a gopher, and it just stuck. So the big old teeth, like... that to me just reminds me of good old days in college, and I just really like how some of these pull off like the sideways view better and more successfully than the others, and this is one of them. So there you go, bud. Next up is Sam. We don't fully agree on this list, and this one, I mean, I seem to remember just like lightly sputtering on whatever my like coffee out of my tumbler when I watched the video, and that is the Arbiter. I think this guy is adorable. He's obviously straight on. He's not in the sideways thing, but that like little ruffly like mustache he's got going on there, it's adorable. And he's angry, but he's like, so I said I liked the eerie anger. He's angry too. But he does it so much better. The blue on white, it just like, whoopsies. It just pops so nicely. I really like the Arbiter. But credit where credit is due. The OG, the Thief, the original Vagabond. Now, I really like this shape. It's one of the more, I don't know, it's like just branching off of like basic shape. The little like burp, burp on the side. It's obviously not like the Harrier or the Seeker, but I really like how simple it is and immediately recognizable. And again, it just pops so much nicer than the white on black. The black on the gray is just so clear, and it's a really Just a fun-loving dude who's gonna run through the forest and, you know, make everyone unhappy with them. Speaking of fun-loving dude who's gonna make everyone unhappy, the scoundrel. I mean, it is pumpkin time, as my 4-year-old daughter calls it. It is Halloween, or it's not Halloween, it's October now. This is just a wonderful creation. The fact that he's wearing a pumpkin on his head is just, it's just adorable. I think it's just a super, I love how different this face is compared to the mechanics of the scoundrel. It's like, oh, we're just gonna like delete a clearing from the map. No big. But he's like, he's so happy, so like calm. Very similar in facial. So this is my top 5 are once again kind of like packed together as the engine of this train. Very similar in terms of like the eye structure. See if you can guess it. Whoop. The river folk, the otters. I gotta say, it like the purity of like the whiskers and nose and eyes, but no mouth, and the color. The color just like it's so good. It's such a good color. I love it. I'm terrible with them, but I love their meeples so very much. Very different from like the otters. My 4th is going to be the original. Is like when you think of Root, at least I think of Marquis de Cat. Even though it's my 4th to top meeple, this is the one that like, I mean, honestly, this and the Eerie mean Root to lots of people. But this one is so much better. Sorry, Eerie. I do think it's kind of weird how the brush size is different for the eyes and the mouth. I don't know exactly. That's like, I guess some of the other ones have that a little bit, but they all seem to have pretty much one brush size, and then there can be some thicker areas, but this clearly has like, I mean, or otherwise he's wearing like mascara around his eyes, but he's just like such an angry little cat. It's so adorable. The flip side of that, I mean, the cats can be aggressive, but not as aggressive as other ones, but they look so angry. The crows look so innocent, but they're so nasty, or they can be at least. I think the beak, the open beak, is great. I think just the one inked thing, the eye, just sort of like looking off, kind of like, what do you mean? That's just a duffel bag over there. Don't worry about it. Don't ask why I have a duffel bag and I'm an animal. And the fact that it looks like the crows from Monument Valley. We talked about this, Sam and I, when we talked way long ago, and I think that definitely pulls in this favor. It's just a great meeple that reminds me of a great game that I love. All right, we're in the top 2. Sorry, Sam, that's a dope tattoo you have. But number 2, silver, is going to be the Alliance. The moldy bread is just in the original 4 the cutest by a country mile, I think, a woodland mile. But even still, with all these other ones added, I think it just, the big wide eyes, and I look on the side, the giant ears, the mouse ears, and the green, and the fact that it just looks like toast. It's great. It's obviously not the greatest, but it's pretty great. Speaking of the greatest and adorable looks for factions that can be less than adorable in gameplay, the lizards. My personal favorite. I love the color is like 70%, maybe 60% of the reason why I love them so much. Sometimes known as blaze yellow, sometimes known as neon yellow, sometimes known as frozen yellow. The lizards and that look, the little like squiggly teeth and like, wanna come over to my house for punch? It's just such an adorable little, wow, look at that spacing. That's not too bad. So that's my list, but I didn't stop there, because who would I be if I did not collate, collect, compile something with the CO, some data, because I love me some data. So I put, hold on, before we go on, I almost forgot. Max, the fact that you put this where you put it in your list is a travesty. That's all I have to say about that. Okay, so moving on to values. Now I assigned them the back of the Sam, we didn't include the badges of the rats. They definitely are going to be in here somewhere, but we don't all have them yet. So I just removed those from yours, and I gave them from 1 to 16 points, from last place up to first place. I compiled those together, and we made a graph. So I put them in the order that I ranked them. And let's see, my values are blue, Sam's are red, Max's are yellow, and Doolin's are green. So you can see those different bars of who, and that's like the on the y-axis is how many points they got. So the more points, the higher up in their list. So Erie was my last place. Sam had them higher. Me, Max, and Doolin roughly all kind of bagged them pretty well. The Ronin, as I put, I did not want to break. I mean, that was just too cool of it. Just 2s across the board. Sorry, Ronin. Harrier. Harrier was, again, I'm the lowest one in that category. Sam, it's way higher in his. Doolin, a little bit further down. Max in between me and Doolin. But so we're starting to see some variance here. Speaking of which, Adventurer. It's not high on my list. It's higher on Sam's. It's higher still on Max's. It's last for Doolin, who does not agree with the owlishness of it. Not that he disagrees. He doesn't see that so much. Vagrant. This one is kind of 3 against 1. It's way high in Sam's, not so much in the rest of ours. Ranger, me and Doolin have that together, same, and then Max and Sam have it down ranked lower. Moles, same thing. Sam and I have them kind of ranked a little bit lower. And Max and Doolin, which, by the way, the video, I mean, these are all just wonderful, ridiculous videos, but it really goes to show if you have a video of 2 people and I'm watching it and I'm smiling along like I'm right there at the table, it's fantastic. And so when they had those like happy moments, you're like, I voted for that here too. Yeah, so they had Moles up a little bit higher. Seeker is kind of a little bit all over the place. It's highest in Max's, and Doolin just underneath that. Arbiter is, again, Sam just tanked it. Arbiter started off at 16th place, which was 18th place in his, which is just that mustache. Come on, the mustache. Up next is the Thief. 3 people are pretty close, and then Max doesn't like it so much. The Scoundrel, again, 3 people like it kind of the same. Max doesn't like it so much. The Otters, 3 people really do like this one, and Sam just says, nay. Nay, sir. No thank you for me. The Cats are all, at this point, they're going to start kind of pulling together. The Cats are pretty close. The Crows would be close were it not for Doolin, who does not care for them. And he kind of brings down the average. The Alliance, same thing. 3 people really like it. And then Max was just like, no moldy toast for me, which is, again, ridiculous. Last but not least, Lizards is the most consistently positive, like high on the list. So I name dropped the A word, average. So I took all of these point values, I put them together, and I came up with the totals. Now this is not the order that I put them in over here. This is the order of the compiled totals. So Ronin, last place, with 8 points, I believe. Next up is going to be Erie with 11 points. Ranger has 18. Arbiter jumps up to 22. Adventurer 23. So we have a back 5, kind of like with mine. Next up, 29 with the Harrier. We go to 32 for Thief, 33 for Vagrant, 36 for Moles, and then 2 38s, Scoundrel and Seeker. And last but not least, our top 5 are not quite as tightly packed as I think of them in my head, but they're the highest ranked ones, starting at 43 points with the Crows, 46 points with the Otters, 51 points for the Cats, 55 points for the Alliance, and a whopping 61 points for the Lizards, which is just impressive. So, last but not least, I'm not going to put all this data together and not come to some conclusions. So if we look at our top 5 composite meeples, we have the Crows, the Otters, the Cats, Alliance, Lizards. Again, I said I'm not going to name this something that's intentionally like needly about how someone's right and someone's not so right. I'm just going to let the numbers speak for themselves. So let's just see whose top 5 meeples, how many of their top 5 meeples made it into our group top 5. So with that, Sam, I love the channel. I love you, man, and you started this whole Rootception 3 out of 5. You got bronze because Max and Doolin, 4 out of 5. Hey, 4 out of 5 ain't bad, just like Meatloaf says. However, I mean, somebody got 5 out of 5. And, I mean, they're not in the same order. I think we flipped something around here. It was like crows, otters, cats. So crows got moved down. The rest, I don't know what to say. Like I said, numbers don't lie. With that was Rootception. Probably went longer than I anticipated, or I wanted it to go. But again, ridiculous content for a game that we all love way more than we ever thought we did when we first got the game. If anyone's interested, I have the data here. If someone wants to just throw theirs out there, but if you want to keep adding numbers to it, let's keep this train a-running, and let's see how deep this Rootception can go. So until we see the next one, thanks all for watching. This was a ton of fun. It was a lot of fun to spar with these other lists. I've been Kyle Frost. This is Give Paws Hobby. I put the links to the other videos down below if you want to see the actual blow-by-blow of how these other folks ranked their meeples. Some more right than others. Wink! But thanks for being here. Hope everyone has a great day, and see you next time.